I'm a normal man who's got every power. I'm as strong as Superman also. And I can fly like Superman and lasers also like Superman, but also mind reading, but also shapeshifting, but also.
This is the kind of weird, odd, sometimes fourth wall breaky nuttiness that I go, ooh, We come to a spectacular page, Michael, which I think encapsulates not only the scale at which the Martian Manhunter is operating, but also the utter terror of Darkseid. I think this is a comic that genuinely made me stop several times and go, what the fuck is going on now?
This does one of my favorite things that comics do, which is plays with the medium itself as part of storytelling, which I fucking love it.
Welcome back to Collecting Issues, where this episode we'll be taking a look at Absolute Martian Manhunter Volume 1, collecting issues 1 to 6 of the 2025 comic by Deniz Camp and Javier Rodriguez from DC Comics.
So the comic book education continues?
We're talking inappropriate comic books.
You're into comic books, aren't you?
That's comic book shit.
Like in the comic books.
Oh, very good, Ben. Very exciting. Welcome back to Collecting Issues, everybody. The monthly comic book club. Benjamin, this week we're talking about a story about a relationship and a team up between a fairly normal ginger man and some sort of weird alien mind freak. But that's enough about the podcast. Let's talk about the comic. I bloody got you, Benjamin. Anyway, yeah, what's this got to do with Martian Manhunter? Ben, no, sorry, hold on. No, sorry, I've been derailed. First of all, don't forget, comic book club. So you've read the bloody thing, haven't you, listeners? You've read it. You've already read it, haven't you? You better have. That's all I'm saying.
Welcome back to Collecting Issues, the comic book club where we'll threaten you if you're not flicking those pages pretty quickly. Get out of here.
Fucking flick through them.
Read that comic.
What we're saying, Benjamin, is that we don't give a shit about spoilers here because this is a book club. We're assuming you've read it and you're coming here to have a one-directional chat with people who've also read it.
There's an assumption here, Michael. There's an assumption. Yeah. So, Michael, what we're tackling today is what is, I think, a runaway hit for DC in 2025. Also a very, very, very modern comic altogether.
So modern.
So modern. So, this is part of DC's All-In series. And the All-In series goes by two names. First of all, it's the All-In series. And then any comic under that particular run will have the word Absolute in front of it. So,
Absolute Batman.
Absolute Batman is a great example. Absolute Wonder Woman is another great example. Absolute Superman is there. And we're getting more and more announced all the time. We've recently had an announcement about Absolute Green Arrow, which looks like a cool 80s thriller kind of vibe. Vigilante thriller vibe. So that's going to be tasty. But this is one of them. This is Absolute Martian Manhunter, and it comes from two titans of the modern comic scene, Michael. Deniz Camp, who we've had on the podcast before.
So many times.
Not in person, but on 20th Century Men, Michael, which was one of our favourites of last year, if you recall. If you're on YouTube, you'll see a little link to it up there now. It'll pop up there. A link in there. If you listen to us on Spotify, Tough Titties. Off you go and find it. Get
Find
to
it
work.
yourself. You lazy
Get to work.
Spotify freak.
And we've also had Javier Rodriguez on the podcast with Zatana bringing down the house.
Oh, that makes sense. Absolute Zatana.
It's not Absolute Zatana. Don't do that. Absolute Zatana is a very different creature.
Is it really? But there was a vibe of Absolute Zatana off of that, actually.
There was. Absolutely. So the All-In universe is pretty simple. It is a universe that Darkseid has made.
Oh,
so,
he's a bad egg.
Yeah, exactly. There was, and it'll come into play in this very comic, Michael. In this very comic.
Only a little bit, though.
There was a strange schism between the main continuity of the DC Comics universe and Darkseid essentially picked up his bindle, his hobo bindle, full of awfulness and malice, and he trundled off into the universe, and he made his own universe, Michael.
Oh, wouldn't we all, Ben? Given half a chance.
Yeah, wouldn't we all, Michael? But in this universe, he makes things bloody awful. So he strips traditional DC heroes of their advantages in life. So, for example, Batman is no longer a billionaire. He's a blue-collar construction worker. Yeah. Wonder Woman no longer has the nurturing community of Amazons around her. She has become the last Amazon.
Oh.
Yes. Superman no longer has Ma and Pa Kent. Instead has been raised by a shadowy organization by the government.
Oh, and has hemorrhoids. Super hemorrhoids.
And has hemorrhoids. That's how Darkseid got him. Darkseid really doesn't like Superman, so he just got one last one in there. Kryptonian
Super
hemorrhoids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't even label them off, Ben. They're just stuck there.
He has to crush down kryptonite into a little paste and apply it gently in the mirror. It's very awkward. Anyway, our shit jokes aside, that's the premise of the All-In universe. And this is one of those. But I think this is arguably one of the more interesting Michaels?
Yes.
Michaels, listen to me. I think this is arguably one of the more interesting ones because the Martian Manhunter is not on the same level as the Trinity. Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman are, I would say, recognizable around the world to some degree.
Yeah. I'd say collectively
I would say
the top 10 most popular superheroes. Probably formerly the top 3 at one stage, but now somewhere in the top 10.
Yes, Marvel got its hooks into the cinematic universe, Michael.
Very much so, yeah. And Spider-Man and Wolverine. But go on anyway.
Yeah. But Martian Manhunter doesn't enjoy that level of familiarity with the public.
No.
It's not there in the same way.
My mum has no idea who he is.
No, I'm sure they would. Martians, they're from Mars. And it's like,
They're
well,
from
yes.
Mars. Or are they, Ben?
Or are they, Michael? This is the big
are they?
question of this particular comic. We'll get into it. So, the elevator pitch for this, Michael, is what if you were an avoidant attachment FBI agent who was caught in the crossfire of an investigation into why bouts of, I guess, mass psychosis are taking hold of your city? And you, for some reason, survive only to find that you've been bonded with an alien entity that is beyond any linear understanding you might have of the universe and the laws of physics.
Yeah, great stuff.
And that's what happens. John Jones is the detective, and the Martian Manhunter is the Martian Manhunter, or as he refers to himself, the Martian Mindfucker, Michael.
Yeah, that's what he calls himself.
They are the pair that are thrust together, and it seems
Go on.
that this is a force for good. It seems as though the Martian is possibly an agent of positive change. It seems.
See?
We spoke about Darkseid stripping away key components of characters and making them something different. And it's hard to spot what they've taken away here. But I have a quote here, Michael, and it's about leaning into the alien aspect. And it's from Deniz Camp. And he said, I just thought about what worked about the character, and maybe that was a barrier to popularity for the character. I wanted to maintain what worked, but at the same time, I wanted to lean into the alienness of Martian Manhunter. And I think that's exactly what's happened here. In every iteration we've seen, John Jones takes a more humanoid form in order to be accepted by humanity.
Yeah, and he goes, hello, I'm John Jones. And everyone goes, oh, nice to meet you, normal man John Jones. And he goes, yes, don't worry about it. I'm a normal man who's got every power. All of them.
Yeah,
You motherfuckers.
exactly.
I'm as fast as Superman. I'm as strong as Superman also. And I can fly like Superman, and lasers also like Superman, but also mind reading, but also shapeshifting, but also telepathy. Every power, but don't show me any fire. Whoa, that's spooky.
Thank you
Fuck
for
off,
that.
Martian Manhunter.
Thank you for that whistle stop tour, Michael, of the Martian
welcome,
Manhunter.
man.
That was.
He's just a normal big green fella who's got every power.
He's just an ordinary, normal Martian.
And and all Martians have these powers. But also, for some reason, he sometimes pretends to be a human, despite being essentially an omnipotent green alien who's mostly human anyway. Sometimes he'll be a tiny bit less human.
Yeah.
Like he'll make his head a bit longer and stop wearing clothes.
Little bit, yeah. Who needs clothes, Michael? Who needs... I'm naked right
Martian
now. I'm just
Manhunter.
using my mind to convince you
Mind
that I'm not.
powers. Yeah. I'm also using my mind to convince myself that you're not.
Michael just blocks out the trauma of doing
Highly
this podcast
effective.
on camera. But so what we get is a much more alien Martian Manhunter in this. So I think what they strip away from the character here is his ability to blend in. He is something completely at odds with the world he finds himself in.
He can't even really communicate at first. It's so different.
Yes. The first issue is a melange, Michael. I'm going to use the word melange an awful lot today. You're going to
Great.
hate me by the end of this.
It's one of my favourite words, Benjamin.
But it's a melange of confusion and PTSD and lost in translation moments and questioning of sanity. It's very good. Very good, Michael. Very tasty.
Ben.
Nom,
Ben.
nom, nom. Yes.
Ben, can I just say, because this is a comic book club, not a review or an announcement, I haven't read any of the other absoluties. Not a single one of them. I think you might have shown me Batman briefly, or did we read Wonder Woman? And
I've read most of them at
powers.
this stage, Michael.
But I'll tell you what, this whole being in a universe that strips away whatever advantage the character has, that does not feel relevant to this comic to me. Having not read the others, not knowing that does not come up in this comic. Maybe it will. Yeah. Maybe it will become relevant in the future, but it's most certainly not relevant in these first 6 issues.
Well, there's only 6 more to go, Michael, because unlike many of the absolute titles, this is a fixed 12-issue run.
No, I don't think it's going to become relevant then, is it?
Perhaps not. Perhaps not. It's very hard to tell. And yet, Michael, in certain pages of this comic, we learn more about the universe that the heroes find themselves in than other comics for one very specific giant page.
Or is it the one you mean?
Yeah, and we'll get into it as we go along. But Michael.
What?
We've had the 2 lads that do this on the podcast before. Not actually. They don't know who we are. But, we've had their work on the podcast before. And isn't it nice to see them working together again, Michael, making mad comics? Good for them.
What have they worked on together before, Ben?
I can't remember. Damn it.
Very good.
I knew you'd get me eventually,
Yes.
Michael.
I thought I wasn't even trying to get you. I thought I was asking a logical follow-up question. I thought you had set me up to do that. Ben, but shut up for a second. I tell you what, I texted you when I was reading this, and you know what I said? I said this. I said, Steve, this is what I says. I says, Ben, this comic is like their brief just said, do an art.
Yes.
Do a big art. Don't
Yes.
worry about that superhero stuff. Just do a big art.
Yes. Absolutely.
It's very much an art, absolutely Martian Manhunter. It's very much an art first, questions later sort of situation.
100%. It's great. This is my cup of tea, Michael. Let me set my stall out very early here and say this is my cup of tea. This is the kind of weird, odd, sometimes fourth wall breaky nuttiness that I go, ooh, give me some of that.
Let me lick them fingers. Let me lick them fingers.
Let me lick the ink off them fingers. The ink off them fingers, baby. And yeah, so it is a big art. Javier Rodriguez is famous for this, Michael, this style of bombastic, fluid color and really out there panel layout. Like, I love the way Javier Rodriguez builds a comic page, because I think what he does a lot of the time, Michael, is he chooses a central image or a cornerstone image and then doesn't worry about what comes after that. He'll build panels around that, or he'll break the lining in certain panels and have bits bleed together. One of the great examples of this, Michael, is the panel where we take a look inside the active shooter's head.
Yes.
And he stacks a lot of different things, and he builds like that, and it's straight out of another comic creator's playbook, Michael, but I think Javier Rodriguez probably elevates a little bit. You've heard me talk about him a million times, Jim Steranko, and we'll get into it a little bit more when we talk about the art and visuals later on in the podcast. But
Ben, Jim Steranko famously loved 100 Bullets, didn't he?
He was a big fan. Big fan. Yeah,
Loved it.
big fan.
Ben, anyway, are we talking about narrative tropes and themes first, or are you just jumping into art?
Let's get in there, Morgan.
right.
Let's swim on into the world of narrative tropes and themes.
Very good. Oh my god, I'm getting messages, Ben. I better mute that.
How dare you? This is a podcast. It's sacred.
Every podcast is someone's first podcast. Let me just
tell you
mute
what.
that.
I tell you. Oh, I forgot to talk about the we cover publication context. But Michael, just to give you a sense of how popular this was, 120,000 pre-orders right out of the gate.
Was it really? That's a lot.
Gangbusters for
That's
a
a lot
comic.
for a comic. All right, Ben. So this fella, his name's John Jones. He's an FBI agent, and he's not great with his wife.
No, emotionally avoidant to his core.
Yeah, very not great with the old wife. He has a son who seems to be non-verbal as well.
Yes. Possibly part
Very
of the reason that he is avoiding home like the plague.
Yeah, very complicated home life. So anyway, he's in an explosion, and as part of the explosion, this thing ends up in his noggin. Now, Benjamin, we're never really told if this thing has ended up in his noggin because of the explosion, or was this thing always in his noggin and just... I wouldn't be terribly surprised if somewhere down the line it's revealed that they are not actually separate entities, that he was always both of them, or even the John Jones character is a construct, as it were, and the Martian is the real side of him.
Always has been.
Always has
been.
The
Yeah.
meme of an astronaut looking at space.
Yes. Absolutely. With a pistol pointed at the back of his head. Yes, a classic,
Yeah,
Michael.
you know the meme. Yeah.
I know the meme, Michael. I've been around the internet once or twice. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, so first of all, there's that, right? Then, the story, let's talk about the story a little bit, because the story is basically, okay, he's got this Martian in his head, but he's not a handsome, smooth-talking, mind-controlling, shape-shifting Martian like from the original comic books. He's some sort of mind entity, a mind hunter, if you will. And there's another one. And the other one is a bad one. Although that's what his one says. And the other one...
Is it?
The other one, Ben, the white one, the man with a hole for a head, he, for some unknown reason, just wants to spread badness, suffering and despair and pain.
It's a bad egg.
And he's a bad egg, basically. And he does that by infecting the minds of people with bad ideas.
Yes. Pours it on in.
He just plops bad ideas into people's minds, and then those bad ideas lead them to either hurt themselves or hurt other people, or set homeless people on fire, or burn down playgrounds, and do all sorts of horrible things. Now, Benjamin, you might say, how modern, because a lot of these bad ideas are the very bad ideas that are tearing the United States of America apart. So there's very much a kind of thing of someone is implanting these bad ideas into the consciousness. And Benjamin, you can't separate art from the time at which it's created. I'm a little bit sick of Americans complaining about America, but regardless of that, it's an interesting idea, this memes, as you will, as a bad idea being weaponized. Very, very confusingly for me, Ben, I am currently reading a book, a very borderline unknown sci-fi book called Paradise 1 by David Wellington. And it's the same story. It's about an alien mimetic virus entity that implants infectious bad ideas into people's heads. And it's incredibly similar. For example, there's a spaceship. This is a spaceship book. There's a spaceship in which the idea is implanted into everyone that I'm hungry. That's the idea. The bad idea is now. The difference is in the book I'm reading, the ideas are just an idea, a single idea. But in this, in Martian Manhunter, they're bad ideas.
Yes.
Which I think is an interesting philosophical stance from Deniz, that there are such a thing as good ideas and bad ideas rather than simply ideas. But they're bad ideas, and not only are they bad ideas, they're catalogued bad ideas.
Yes, Martian Manhunter has a running catalogue in his brain.
Yeah, he has a numbered catalogue of bad ideas. And when he sees the effect of these bad ideas, he's able to say, oh, that's bad idea 375,000, set homeless people on fire.
Yeah.
Which is Okay, it's not quite that simple, but you get the idea. I philosophically disagree with that. I don't think there's such a thing as good ideas and bad ideas inherently, but that's neither
Okay.
here nor there. It's so the kind of twist on it obviously is what's bad idea zero,
Yes.
and that was I think one of your favorite panels.
Yes. So, yeah, it deals heavily with the idea of mimetic culture, which I suppose is something for anyone who's ever been on the internet, for anyone listening to this podcast, for anyone interested in comics. Memes are a standard part of our existence thanks to the internet. The spread of what are called memes are collectively recognized images that are shared and adapted to reflect particular aspects of society. But
Rachel,
they
I'm
use...
going to cut across you there for a second
How dare you?
because no, I think that because that's the internet definition of a meme.
Yes. Yeah.
But the concept of the meme predates the internet. Well, maybe it doesn't predate the internet, but it had an
Oh, it
original
does.
meaning. It's not necessarily an image or a video or something with a funny comment like an alien, two astronauts in space. A meme is just an idea, a transferable idea in a small package.
Yeah.
So when they're talking about things being mimetic in this, they don't mean that it's like like an internet meme. They mean
No,
it like
not at
a
all.
meme as in a transferable idea,
Yeah.
I think.
And the study of mimetics is the study of cultural evolution through shared ideas. That's where it comes from. Believe it or not, Michael, the first mention of the notion of mimetics comes from Richard Dawkins.
No, I not only believe it or not, I actually was about to say that, but go on.
How dare you? Come on, I'm the research guy on this podcast.
I've heard of Dawkins, man. I know
The
who he is.
guy, yeah. Anyway, he comes in 1976 in a book called The Selfish Gene, Michael, and he published this idea of mimetics. What is my favorite panel, Michael? What were you saying was my favorite panel?
Where Darkseid appears and he's
Oh,
tagged
yeah.
as bad idea zero.
Yeah, the anti-life equation. So one of the breakout panels of this, Michael, and one of the best bits of lore building, I suppose, in the entire universe is where the White Martian, the man with a
Yes.
hole for a head,
Yes.
finally wins and separates John Jones from the Martian Mindfucker. And the way he does that is he captures the Martian Manhunter and chucks him into a void. And in order to get back to John Jones and help out, the Martian Manhunter has to traverse the universe he's in or work through the layers of the universe he's in. And we come to a spectacular page, Michael, which I think encapsulates not only the scale at which the Martian Manhunter is operating, but also the utter terror of Darkseid. There it is. Like, he's just this huge, like, industrial fuming pit of malice. Like, he's amazing. It's a beautiful bit of work. But you're right, he's bad idea zero. And yeah, I suppose the Martian Manhunter realizes that all of this is coming from Darkseid, and that you can't necessarily operate outside of the parameters of bad ideas. Now, again, I take your point that bad ideas are not inherent, as in it's very hard to define a bad idea and a
Yeah. Like
good idea.
On things like help homeless people, good idea. Set fire to homeless people, bad idea, great. But just the notion that ideas can be easily categorized into good or bad just feels so 21st century American to me. That's probably what's wrong with them. Which is very interesting because I love the work of Deniz Camp. And maybe this is itself a criticism of that idea of there's only good ideas and bad ideas, and which side are you on? Which feels so American.
It is incredibly American, and I think the grey area is played with a few times.
Go on.
I think John Jones is an FBI agent first and foremost. He works for the stochastic FBI unit, and the stochastic. There are so many terms that get thrown around here, Michael. Stochastic it's the study of randomness or random occurrence. Is that what it is?
Well, it's my understanding is it's the attempt to find patterns in it. But
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So it's yeah, okay. Pattern recognition and pattern definement or defining is what the stochastic unit does. So it looks at a crime that seemingly has no motive, for example, and it attempts to build a case for the motivation of it around it. And obviously, the major challenge that John Jones is coming up against, Michael, is that if there is a third party, a malicious third party, that is seeding these ideas in humanity, there's not necessarily a human cause for these problems, but rather an outside intervention that's making the crop up.
Yeah. I mean, it's good and it's bad, isn't it? It's a little bit disappointing that the humans are all victims. It presents this idea that everyone who has a bad idea is a victim because that. Now it's only in this world, in this comic. Everyone who has a bad idea, they're not the cause of the incident. They are victims of the bad idea.
Yeah, and I think look, it is such a fascinating concept, and I think it makes a really interesting comic. I think this is a comic that genuinely made me stop several times and go, "What the fuck is going on now?" Mm-hmm. And I think it does deliver. I think it has very satisfying wrap-ups to arcs. Not satisfying in terms of happy.
No.
But a good way to propel the next chunk of story onwards. And really what it boils down to is... Oh, how do I put this? Sorry, to come back to the FBI thing, because I think it's important to define that. The FBI is... for better or worse, one of the most American concepts you can come across, right?
Go on. Yes.
It is, for us, it's the Men in Black. It's the shady federal wing of the American government that enforces laws and order. However, many people around the world would disagree with the United States definition of law and order, I think, to some degree. But we are at least told at the beginning that John Jones... No, again, I'm wrong. So the more I go through this,
then? Where are you
John
going?
Jones is not a good character off the bat. I don't think he's a good person. John
I
Jones.
think he is. Why do you not think he is?
Okay, well, that's interesting to me. I think he's obsessive. I think he is distant. I think he's emotionally neglectful. I think he's genuinely not a good thing to have in a police officer. He is work obsessed to the point of running himself into the ground, which I don't think makes a good law enforcement officer. You don't want the guy who hasn't slept right and operates on 12 cups of coffee a day handling your case. He goes out of his way.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, but he goes out of his way to continue investigating a case to the point that he inserts himself in the perpetrator's loved ones' lives, right? Mm-hmm. And at one point we're led to believe that that's because the Martian is prompting him to look in those directions. But he starts to do that before the Martian Manhunter properly manifests at all, because he's obsessive. He thinks that I'm John Jones, I'm good at this, I'm a stochastic agent, and I will figure this out. And I think that in itself, Michael, is dodgy.
Do you think it's a
but
bad
I'm not
idea?
sure it's the intention.
Is it on the bad idea list, though? But Ben, he's the meme of an FBI agent.
Yes.
Ironically enough. He's
Yeah.
the meme of a hard-bitten FBI agent. Like, it's very interesting how much smoking goes on in this for a 21st century comic. You don't see that much smoking in well, it's making a comeback, I think, culturally.
Smoking?
As a... Yeah, not necessarily. I don't know if more people or less people are smoking, but you're seeing it more in media again. We very much went for 10 or 15 years there where you never saw a cigarette on a comic panel or on a TV screen.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe a cigar, but not a cigarette.
Yeah, not those filthy little packs that you see all over the place. Yeah, absolutely. And I think smoking becomes such an interesting metaphor for what the Martian Manhunter does in terms of telepathy.
There's a big hint of synesthesia in this. There's loads of synesthesia in this. It's everywhere. And the second time, maybe there are more comics, but I don't know if you remember Top 10, Benjamin. You probably do. The Alan Moore interdimensional detective agency.
Yeah.
Having a character in that using synesthesia as a crime-solving aid it gave her the level of a superpower.
Yes.
And there's very much hints of that in this.
Yeah, way back in when the first issue was published, Michael, we put an essay up on our Substack called "Inhale the Smoke," the visual inventiveness of smoke as a cue for mind reading, and it's up there. You'll see a little link to it now as you watch on YouTube, or I'll stick it down in the description down below. You can give a look at it. But I was fascinated by Javier Rodriguez's choices when it came to portraying that power, because we've done it a few times. We've seen a million iterations of telepathy as a visual marker. In some cases, like the X-Men, Professor X can walk again, and you see him in a mind palace, essentially, of the other person, and you have to navigate another person's mind palace to do it.
An astral realm, maybe. Just
An astral realm, maybe. And you can get lost and stuff like that. But I thought this was interesting from a visual point of view because it's really essentially amorphous. It's little snippets of people's internal thoughts, and John Jones almost has to follow it like a cartoon hobo floating towards a pie on a windowsill.
Yes, yeah.
He gets a whiff of it and then is pulled in that direction. But it's very difficult for him to make sense of the world that he now finds himself in. And I like that, because if you were in a room full of smoke, you would be overwhelmed beyond belief. There's a fantastic sequence in issue 1 where the Martian Manhunter begins to exert his influence a little bit more on him, and he just finds himself surrounded by telepathic smoke. It's this page here.
Yes, yeah.
And becomes quite overwhelmed. And yeah, but you're right, it's fascinating to see it return to the page here. But if you take it as the meme, I really like that. That's a great notion. If you take it as the meme of an FBI agent, everything we were exposed to in the 90s was FBI agents in smoky rooms.
FBI agents in smoky rooms, not going back to their wives and being too dedicated to the job and being injured and going back to work straight away because what else have I got to do?
Yeah.
But this guy does have something to do, but he doesn't do it.
Benjamin,
did you ever read the Monarchy comics from the early 2000s?
I didn't.
They were a spin-off of Stormwatch / The Authority by who did that? Wildstorm. The writer was one Dossel Young, Benjamin. It wasn't very popular. It wasn't very successful, but it was about characters becoming memes. And again, this was like 2000, 2001, before the idea of memes as easily transferred single comedy images had appeared. But it was the idea of characters becoming memes and those memes spreading out into the universe. And it had a very similar kind of trippy vibe of, sure, we're dealing with characters with physical powers sometimes, but the really powerful people are the people whose powers are ideas more than I can shapeshift and kick you up the butt really hard.
Yeah. I think that's definitely happening here. Like, there's not a single bit of traditional superheroics. Well, there's one. There's the burning building sequence.
Yeah,
where there's a little
exactly
bit
where
of.
I was going to go. Yeah. Well, like Martian Manhunter, I've always had this idea of a superhero of like a genuine 4-dimensional superhero.
Go on.
So, imagine a superhero who existed in 4 dimensions, Ben.
Yep.
Completely utter, and I don't mean from the 5th dimension like Mr. Mrs. Pickle. I mean a genuine 4-dimensional character. And they would be able to do things that you can't really comprehend in 3-dimensional space. Like, for example, it would appear to us to being able to disappear and reappear essentially anywhere, because they would be traveling through the 4th dimension instead of the 3rd. And
yes.
The Martian Manhunter very much possesses a lot of these powers in this, as in he can see fully inside things. He can travel through non-Euclidean space, which would be
that's
another
what he call.
way to
Yeah,
say.
that's what they call it.
That would be another way to say in the 4th dimension. He can instantly teleport people, which isn't a typical Martian Manhunter power, actually.
Nope.
Like he's a very interesting character who does. He's very much in the kind of spirit of old, like golden age comic book characters, where you would get like a normal bloke who has some sort of weird little jobby attached to him. And the weird little jobby is the thing with the powers, and the normal bloke's job is to basically show up with this thing attached. Johnny Thunderbolt? Who's he? You know who I'm thinking of?
Yeah, Johnny Thunderbolt was a guy who found a magic pen that had a genie in it. Isn't that Johnny Thunderbolt?
I feel like I've made that name up, but yeah.
No. There is a
speaking.
Johnny. He's in the JSA. He's in the JSA.
Yeah, Kingdom Come, for example.
Yeah, he found a pen, or it might not have been a pen, but I think it's a pen that he clicks twice, and a genie appears and helps him in situations. And this is what's so fascinating about this. When I first read this, Michael, I went, "Oh, this is a radical new take on John Jones and the Martian Manhunter." It's not. It's actually a return to his Silver Age origin in 1955. It's really, really interesting. It's in 1955, the first Martian Manhunter appearance happened, and he has a bit of a ridiculous madcap comedy origin on Earth. What happens is a scientist called Dr. Urdell is working on a teleportation machine, and Dr. Urdell gets the machine up and running, and it randomly throws essentially a fishhook out into the universe and grabs John Jones from Mars and pulls him back through a teleportation doorway, if you like. And that's how John Jones finds himself on Earth. Now, you would say to yourself, oh, well, you can just switch it back on and send him home. But in classic 1955 Silver Age fashion, Michael, Dr. Urdell takes one look at the 7 to 8 foot man built like a brick shit house with a very heavy brow and red eyes and goes, oh, my heart. And he dies. Wouldn't you know it, Michael? Wouldn't you know it? He's the only fella who knew how to work that machine.
Classic. Was Dr. Erskine not available either? No?
He wasn't. No, we only got Dr. Urdell for that one. Okay. But what happens is John Jones is forced to adapt to humanity and becomes a manhunter in the sense of he's a private detective that goes around solving cases. And the early Martian Manhunter had very grounded human crimes with a little bit of psychology. Not much. It was the Silver Age comics. You weren't going to get in-depth looks at psychosis or anything like that. The most you would get is, he's mad. Mad, I tell you.
He's mad, I tell you.
And that's what you get. But this is a real return to that, because in those early Silver Age comics, Michael, it was, as we've spoken about many times on this podcast, the throw the pasta at the wall to see what sticks kind of comic book. And we call Superman the flying brick from his Golden Age appearance. He's pretty tough, pretty strong, flies about the place, so on and so forth. John Jones could almost be looked upon as the flying Swiss Army knife, because he was one of those characters where it was like, oh, Martians can do that. Oh, if only I had the ability to do this. And then it'd be like, oh, wait, I forgot Martian teenagers are taught to do this. And then he would have that power. So he could pretty much do whatever you want. But his power set became this expansive thing. He was a shapeshifter. He could phase through walls. He could read minds, and so on and so forth. And then they did the classic thing where it's like, well, he needs one big weakness. In this case, it's going to be fire. We're going to give him that. But this is a real return to form for that from 1955. It's really interesting to see the very human-focused problems that John Jones has to take on as he goes through this. The only key difference, again, and we don't know if it's going to be changed as the comic moves on, but the big difference is they're two separate entities, at least for narrative purposes in this early 6 issues.
Like
and they have to work together.
I looked at it.
And it might change, but that's really interesting to see. And then, of course, what Deniz Camp actually does is he brings in different retcons that have happened to John Jones over the years. So because he was this powerhouse, Michael, he was pretty much just a Superman copy for a long time. You know what I mean? There were two brick shit houses who could fly and do all that, and he was very noble, and that wasn't great. So then in the 80s they introduced the last survivor concept, which was John Jones is the last survivor of an alien race because Dr. Urdell's time door not only pulled him through space but pulled him through time. And he lost his planet. And that was a whole part of it. But then I suppose the major build-up of his lore came in the 90s with Granty M. Grant Morrison got his hands on him.
What?
In a now infamous comic book run called the Watchtower, JLA The Watchtower. And in that, he introduces the concept of white Martians, Michael. And Michael, wait till you get a load of this, right? And the white Martian obviously appears in this, but rather than it being a team, as it was in the 90s with Grant Morrison, it's a single entity versus a single entity. But it turns out that Martians were so superior that at a certain point, the Guardians of the Galaxy, the lads that give fellas the little green rings,
The Guardians of Oa.
yeah, identified the Martian race as too powerful and would cause a problem down the line, and genetically split them off into two groups. And this is where it gets really interesting. So this is where it gets really interesting. They take all the good traits of Martians, their philosophical nature, their patience, their ability to shapeshift, and so on, and they put that into the green Martian race. And then they take all the negative aspects of Martians, the malice, the propensity for violence, Michael, and they put that in the white Martian race. Yeah, so that makes its way in there. So Martians are big on phrenology. Michael.
Yeah. Critical race theory. Ben,
Yeah.
speaking of Granty M, there's very much a feeling of some of Granty M's earlier psychedelical stuff in this.
Oh, yeah. There's
lots
a
of
big
Invincibles.
whack of it.
There's lots of Invisibles? Invisibles, I meant to say.
Yep.
There's lots of Invisibles. There's basically all of his... This is it's a very American version of that kind of British wave of psychedelic comics. It's more coherent and straightforward. It's like... It is like that type of comic with the rough edges sanded off to present an easier to understand, psychedelic out there, but not so far out there that it's going to not tell a narrative.
Yeah.
Or not tell a clear, easy to follow narrative.
I think, even looking at the design of the White Martian, Michael, he's straight out of Mr. Nobody from Grant Morrison's run on Doom Patrol.
Yes, I love his no head thing. I think that's great.
Oh, it's great. There's that single. One of my favorite bits of this, Michael, is when we move into the City on Fire arc, the heat wave.
Yes.
And it's shown to be the White Martian that did it. I didn't realize it was the White Martian. I thought we were being introduced to a villain of the week. I didn't realize it was the White Martian. But he takes his own head off and puts it in the sky as a boiling sun. And
look at that, Benjamin. Is that not straight out of a Grant Morrison comic?
It is. 100%.
I think I've seen that.
100%, Michael. And then I think where it gets... I think that issue... I think it's issue 4 is where it gets particularly mental as a comic, and we begin to see how the Martian Manhunter moves through the world that he's in. He literally engages with ideas as physical constructs and puzzles, and he has the ability to do that. John Jones can only see the world as ideas, and he's like, how do you stop an idea? And the Martian Manhunter is, it's really easy. You just reach out and you grab it and you change it. But John Jones is like, huh? What do you mean?
You can't do that. What are you not going to do?
Yeah. Sometimes it takes more time. So he spends much of issue 4
fiddling with the sun rays. It's great.
Fiddling with the sun rays, because he has a configuration in mind and he understands what the White Martian has done. We see it as a really simple thing of the villain takes his head off and places it in the sky, but the Martian Manhunter explains, I think a few issues later, that how humans perceive this is like a superhero battle or a Clash of the Titans. What's actually happening is far more complex, but we can't perceive it because we're only human.
It hints to that as well when the guy goes to shoot little Damascus and he's very briefly like a Godzilla.
Yes, he's moving through the city. And Javier Rodriguez knocks this out of the park for me, Michael. I am obsessed with Javier Rodriguez. I think...
Watch out.
Watch out, Javier. Watch out, Javier. I'm coming for it. I'm not. If you want to come on the podcast, Javier, please do. I'd love to talk to you about your...
Personally, I wouldn't. But that's up to you. It's your call.
Javier, stay away. Javier, no.
Save yourself.
I think Javier has had such a a storied history in comics. He did Daredevil back in the day with Chip Zdarsky, and that really established him as a kind of a bold, fluid, but very legible style of comic book creation. He plays with letter forms a lot, Michael. He works lettering into his visuals in ways that you wouldn't expect it. It's really interesting. But when he finds the right writing partner who has madcap ideas and stuff like this, I think he's really let shine. There's so many things working here and how he designs it. He really does lean into the alien aspect, just like Deniz Camp did in writing the concepts. But one of my most fascinating and favorite things about what he's done here is he designed the Martian Manhunter originally in Play-Doh. And that makes its way into the story.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. It does, because the kid makes a little version of him.
Yeah. And I think that's a wonderful example of life imitating art, but then art imitating life. There's a nice loop on it. There's some nice bonus pages at the back of the hardback. And there's the Martian Manhunter in a little lob of Play-Doh. There he is. And that's how he designed him.
Benjamin, I think that was one of the key panels as well on me thinking that they actually are the same character, that this whole dual identity thing is a wall that will eventually be broken down, because the kid sees him for what he really is, which is basically the Martian Manhunter, not John Jones at all. And interestingly, we don't really get any backstory in John Jones. This story enters in media res, with him surviving the explosion, luckily, by the skin of his teeth. So, very interesting. Ben.
Yes. It
has one of the better mind fights we've seen in a few years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing particularly new and staggering of the idea of a mind fight between mostly psychic entities. Are they going to shapeshift? Are they going to throw mind ideas at each other? Very much out of, say, Dan Abnett did it a couple of times in his Warhammer books, and the show Legion did it, where Legion David and what's his name? The Mind Shadow King.
Beard.
Shadow
I can't remember who it is, but I know who you mean. Oh, the Shadow King. Yeah.
And they're having a mind fight where they're throwing ideas at each other instead of physically fighting in the mind.
It comes back all the way back to Sandman, Michael, which Neil Gaiman, boo. But once upon a time, great stuff from him. There's a fight between Lucifer and Morpheus in hell.
They have, concepts.
And they throw, or it's not Lucifer,
it is Lucifer.
I can't remember which Prince of Hell it is. It's a Prince of Hell.
No, it's Lucifer.
No, in the TV series they make it Lucifer for convenience. In the comic, it's a Prince of Hell throwing ideas at each other. Lucifer doesn't actually care. He's on a beach. He's giving the key away. That's the whole issue. And it's this idea of I throw one problem at you, you solve it in an almost metaphorical way and come back to it. Metaphors are real, exactly. And that's very much what happens here. It's really interesting for them. So one of the panels here, I'll show it to you here, Michael, just so we have it on record. One of the panels here is for them things made of pure mind. It can all get a little abstract. A punch is not just a punch up there; it's a metaphor. Although that particular metaphor looked like it hurt. Like, I think there's some beautiful turns of phrase that crack in there. And it's happening in parallel because the Rockabilly Psycho, by the way, worst fucking bit in this entire comic. You know what I'm going to say because you know what I'm like, Michael. Casual dog murder.
Why do they keep doing dog murders?
Get fucked. But this one is even more overt, Michael. This one is even more overt. And he says it in the worst way. He says, "Come here, you little bitch." And I was like, stop that. Deniz Camp, stop that.
What is with the casual dog murder to show people are baddies? Stop it, everyone.
We get it. Jesus. Anyway, that awfulness aside.
I think it's because it's not culturally acceptable to kill gays or women anymore. Like, how are we gonna show he's the villain?
God damn it, Gail Simone, and your essay on fridging women. God damn it.
Women in fridges ruined our shortcut to show someone was a baddie.
Now I have to live with fucking
killing dogs,
which is worse.
Ben, in some ways. Ben.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? No, I've lost. Oh, this
Memes.
thing.
Big scraps in the sky.
No, actually it wasn't. I was finished talking about that. This does one of my favorite things that comics do, which is plays with the medium itself as part of storytelling, which I fucking love it, Benjamin. I used to read about things like this in Wizard magazine, and Jim Steranko was a good example of it, like the infamous Jim Steranko Nick Fury comic that can be read any way and still make sense. I've actually never read that. I must. But I love the idea of playing with the medium itself.
Yeah, because
to tell the stories. And this does it a couple of times, including having melange images on either side of a physical page that can be held up to the light and looked through to make a single image. You've got one there, Ben?
Yeah, Martian Vision is a perfect example of that, Michael. We get one in issue 1 and one in issue 6. And it comes at the end of both issues. But this is a fascinating thing because you read a digital copy and I have the physical copy, Michael.
Yeah.
And then, so on one side and what you're supposed to do is hold it up to the light. There's a little, just like a 1950s comic, there's a little prompt on what the reader should do.
Yeah. Kind of wish that wasn't there.
Oh, go on. The prompt.
Imagine the joy of discovery if the prompt wasn't there.
Yeah. But what happens is you hold it up to the light, Michael, and then on the other side of John Jones, you see the Martian Manhunter inhabiting his noggin. And that's Martian Vision. But that's, again, a throwback to the origin, because one of John Jones' early superpowers was Martian Vision in the 1950s. So it's interesting to see it make a comeback. And then we get a great cliffhanger, Michael, because it turns out that their son is on the final page, and the White Martian has found a new home.
Oh, the son of a bitch.
Hiding in the meat.
Has he, though? Or
well,
was
we don't
he all
know.
along?
Maybe his son... Yeah. Maybe so. Here's the... If we're going grand metaphor...
Go on.
What is happening here is there is an emotionally distant father, there is a neglected son, and the White Martian is a manifestation of the neglected son's rage towards his father. And he is there to tear down everything that his father stands for. Law and order, goodness, etc. If we want to use that as the grand metaphor...
It's a grand metaphor, Ben.
Then it's a grand metaphor. It's a grand metaphor. Yeah, it'll do. If we want to use that to look at your list idea of the inherently good ideas and bad ideas, that is a human's perspective of ideas, or a child's perspective of ideas. This is a good idea, this is a bad idea. This is a good idea, this is a bad idea. So, is it the case that the Martians are two people who have inherent psychic powers that manifest in a very bizarre schism of their identity? And is that what's happened here? Is it a father and son who genetically share telepathy and have to deal with the world in a strange way? Or is there possessing entities? Or are they Martians that found themselves to Earth and wiped their minds for some reason? What's going on?
Well, they're very specifically not Martians. I like this idea that they're just using Martian as a meme, as it were.
Yes.
To explain alien.
Yeah. They're alien and other. That's what they are. Yeah. You talked a little bit about the fourth dimension, Michael, and you mentioned earlier Mr. Mitzalpitalik. There's a little bit of evidence here that these might be interdimensional beings that have found themselves slotted in somewhere else. And maybe. You mentioned that really interesting story. What did you call it? The one about the ideas in space?
The monarchy. Oh, sorry. Paradise 1. The one about bad ideas
Paradise
infecting
1.
the mind.
So that's really interesting because in a certain section of this, he mentions that the white Martian does this all the time. He keeps traveling to other planets and doing this and succeeding. And this is his attempt to stop that from happening. Yeah. And I think that's a fascinating idea, Michael, that universes have burned because the White Martian got in there and it worked his mojo.
Start putting bad ideas in everyone's heads.
Exactly. And it's really interesting as a concept. I think the other thing that fascinates me about this, Michael, is, as you said, it's just American politics to some degree. It is the schism of America is the schism of Middleton City. Middleton City is the original city that the Martian Manhunter operated in the Silver Age comics, but it's been brought back here.
It's references all the way down, then.
Yeah, references all the way down, like right down the middle. Like there's a lot you can work with here. And what I like about it is, as you said, Michael, it's simplified and it's had the edges rounded a little bit for consumption. But I don't think it makes it a bad metaphor. There's no harm in making it more consumer friendly, if you like, because the core ideas are there.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm going to read the next volume, obviously. I'm hoping that it turns out to have a little bit more depth to it than there are good ideas and there are bad ideas. Because that divisive binary, this is what's wrong with them. It feels like the thesis of this comic is what's wrong with America is that bad ideas have got in.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And I mean, there are some ideas which, again, like this, we're going to get down the road of fucking moral absolutism, which is not where we want to be going on a comic book discussion podcast. But I'm hoping that it turns out to be a little bit more complex and a little bit more nuanced than expunge the bad ideas. It's a little bit thought police. It's a little bit 1984-y in a way, but like presenting the authority of 1984 as the goodies.
Well, again, it's a fascinating choice to make him an FBI agent. Like, an FBI agent does deal in moral absolutes, but the moral absolutes are dictated by the agency you represent.
Yeah, but then there is an ACAB aspect to this as well, where cops
absolutely.
are constantly doing bad shit, and there's always been a link between John Jones and cops. Maybe not necessarily like the police, but he's on the side of a lawman.
Yes, absolutely. In one of his retcons, he was a corrupt police officer on Mars. That was in the Rebirth. Was it Rebirth? I can't remember. One of his many retcons was that he was a bit of a bad un on Mars, and it led to the loss of his wife and child, and that is why he's turned around on Earth, or why he tries to be more noble on Earth, because he wasn't on Mars. Anyway, it's interesting because, yeah, hopefully there is a bit more depth. I think his wife, John Jones's wife, is
Bridget,
the most emotionally complete.
Bridget Jones.
Huh?
Is her name Bridget Jones?
No, I
Bridget
said John
Jones?
Jones's wife. I said John
Yeah.
Jones's wife.
Isn't her name Bridget?
Oh, have they named her Bridget Jones and we've missed it? Have they named her Bridget Jones and we've missed it?
Doesn't he call her Bridge?
Oh, probably.
Which is ironic as well, in a way.
In itself, yeah. Where is it?
Great podcasting now.
Yeah, great stuff from us. Great stuff from us. So there's Tyler. Bridget,
Yeah.
It is Bridget Jones.
Her name is Bridget Jones. Well, maybe she
Fuck
hasn't
you,
taken
Deniz
her
Camp.
husband.
Fuck
Maybe
you,
she
Deniz
hasn't
Camp.
taken her husband's married name.
Fuck you, Deniz Camp. You got us to fucking... There was a great joke resting in there. But Bridget Jones
Yeah.
is the most emotionally well-rounded character, I think, or the most complete human in the piece.
She's very much not immune to the bad ideas, because we do
No,
see
they're
the smoke
swimming
building
around,
up around
yeah.
her head, and no, she's very interesting. She's very interesting as like she just wants him to be a husband, and he's like, I'm too busy being an alien FBI man. Would you stop? Fucking ask me to take out the bins.
As if I have time to take out. What about justice, Bridget?
What about justice, Bridget? Benjamin, sorry, to go back, we're shooting all over the place here because I realise we're very tight on time. We're over an hour already. Playing with the medium as well. I love the fact that the White Martian's head is just white space on the comic book pages. Great stuff. Like, again, very Grant Morrison. If a lot of the stuff that I like about this feels like refined versions of stuff that I've seen before. Feels like stuff which had great ideas but was deeply flawed. And this is pulling a lot of those great ideas into something which maybe isn't quite as deep, but is very much a refined, coherent... It works as an experiment and it works as a narrative.
Yeah.
Do you get where I'm coming from? Like, an idea I've seen before, I'm sure, is the idea that once they lose the light and they go into the night, everyone starts losing track of how long it's been.
Yeah.
Has it been a night? Has it been months? Has it been weeks? Time loses meaning, despite the fact that they're still progressing in the real world. Again, not something entirely new as a concept, but it pulls all of these disparate ideas together much more coherently than any of the comics or even stories that I'm mentioning where I've seen these ideas before. I feel it's better than the Invisibles. It's better than the synesthesia in Top 10. It's better than the mimetic ideas from the monarchy.
So
because it also tells a coherent story, a coherent, engaging story. It's not lost in its ideas.
Yeah, I think probably one of the biggest criticisms we could lash at the British wave of comics, Michael, the Warren Ellis, the Alan Moore, the Grant Morrison, is that they used comic books as a medium. Yeah, exactly. They use comic books as a medium to explore mad shit, right? Which is fine. Which is fine. Neil Gaiman as well, to a lot of degrees. It's mad shit, right? And occasionally they would sacrifice story in favor of mad shit. And I think quite often it would lend itself to grotesquerie. And I use that word to describe. Occasionally they would push characters and their designs and their origins to a point of disgust or provoking a reaction in readers as to, oh, this is too odd, or this is too strange, or so on and so forth. And I think it alienates some readers. Not every reader. People love the British wave of comics, and they should. There's some really interesting stuff there.
Great ideas,
it pushed it to a brand new medium. But it would alienate certain readers. It would push them away. I think this manages to tread a tightrope between really out there abstract stuff, as you said, ideas we've seen before but refined, and a very compelling narrative of a man isolated from his wife and child who has a new partner on the scene, a new cop, and it deals as you said, it's modern America. The most poignant version of this, I think, for me, Michael, is the Little Damascus storyline with the shooter.
Go on.
I think it's possibly one of the best examples of this comic, in that it showcases the madcap art, it showcases the life through metaphor. I think the Godzilla page you're talking about, where the shooter's presence in Little Damascus is much larger in terms of the emotion and fear that he causes than it is in a physical sense. He's one man with a gun, but that doesn't matter. Everyone's cowering in fear, so he might as well be Godzilla. I think that's a fascinating observation. I think it translates brilliantly through Deniz Camp's idea into Javier Rodriguez's art. I think they complement each other brilliantly. But also, there are the lives of all the different people that he executes on the street. There's the different people, and as they die, their last dreams and wishes bleed out of their skulls. And they walk through that. There's the old man who dreams of sailing again. And it's very interesting. But finally, there's the reality of the world in which John Jones attempts to solve this by talking to him. He uses the Martian Manhunter to take on the persona of an old friend and kind of talk him down.
He attempts to deprogram him, basically, on the side of the street.
He does. And then it ends with a police officer putting a bullet straight through his skull. And to me, it encapsulates everything that Absolute Martian Manhunter is trying to do. I think that issue, it's issue 3. Issue 3 or 2? 4. Oh, it's issue 2.
Issue 2, wow. Oh, yeah,
it's only issue 2.
From the kind of broad narrative, that's the issue where he realizes the Martian Manhunter is real and actually helping him, and not him going mad.
Exactly. And yeah, I think it's a really interesting comic. I can see why it's been such a hit. It keeps selling gangbusters every time a new issue comes out, because it is something different. It is something vibrant.
It finished?
But it's not finished. No, it's on issue 8, I believe, at the minute.
Oh my God, I've ages to wait then for the next volume.
For the second collected issues. Sure, we'll read it when it comes out, Michael. Why not? Why not?
We bloody will, I suppose.
Any standout pals for you? Any last observations, Michael, before we wrap it on up?
No, it's good. I liked it. I wish that it hadn't had the kind of now look through your Martian vision. I wish that had been discovered. That's my only.
Okay.
That's the only disappointment in it. That I wish that some of that, because I love that so much.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. I love playing with the medium. I love. Here's something new that hasn't. Maybe that has been done before, and we just haven't seen it. But
undoubtedly, but
do you think? But it's great. I wish it didn't say now do this,
yeah,
or even if it didn't say now do this the second time.
Sure, because you would have to guess it. Yeah,
because then you'd have to go, hold on, this is like that one from the Point Martian is in the boy.
Yeah.
But no, it was great. It was fabulous. It was incredible. Initially off-putting, I thought. I picked it up and went, this isn't Martian Manhunter at all.
Yeah,
but that it only took me half an issue to get over that. And I don't like smoking. I really dislike smoking. So it being a major plot point is off-putting for me. The scene outside the hospital where everyone's smoking, I was like, ugh, I'm not going to enjoy this. But no, it was great. Fabulous. And dog killing. Stop dog killing, please.
Stop that, Deniz Camp. Give it over. Would you just stop? There's plenty of ways to do it.
Yeah. You
have
can
to
kill
murder a
someone's
child, not a dog.
Yeah, their wife or their child or a gay character. Well, like we used to do in the 90s. And it was fun.
Bury your gays, fridge your women, guys. Bury your gays, fridge your women. Come on. Come on. That's a joke.
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
see you again.
Don't do
very,
it.
very quickly. Very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I can't remember what next month is, Michael. What's next month?
Bone?
Bone. It
Is
is.
it
You're
Bone?
right. The absolutely seminal classic, Bone. Michael, we'll be reading a few issues of that. The exact amount of issues is yet to be defined because it's been running for a while. I think it's Jeff Meyer, isn't it? Jeff Meyer is the name of the gentleman.
Yeah.
Bone. It's a classic. It's weird. It's out there. It's from the 90s? The 80s?
I don't know. No, nothing.
It's old and weird, and we'll be reading it here on Collecting Issues. Tell us what you thought of it. There's loads of ways to follow us down below. They're all down there in the links in the description. I can't really talk about them because we're on a tight timeline. Folks, that's it from us. Bye-bye.
See you next week.